All right, welcome back, everybody. It is me, the guy from Orange County, the Orange Curtain, OC Steve, and I'm back. And I'm back with a co-host. My buddy Ruben is going to be joining me moving forward for this weekly show. I mean, we're building the plane as we're flying it. So I thought, you're tired of listening to me. I'd bring somebody else along. So I here's Ruben. Ruben, explain your geekdom, if you will.
Hello, folks. My name is DJ Ruben. My geekdom starts with, just like everyone else, the 90s X-Men cartoons and the 80s Transformers. And from there, just growing up, just watch huge fan of the original, the Keaton Batman and all other stuff. And then anything Marvel or DC on TV, I watch it because we were pre-programmed when we were kids.
Yeah, we're both kind of kids of the 90s. So Marvel, DC, that kind of bit. That was our Saturday morning backgrounds. Besides that, you're a big Disney super fan. You commute down to the Bay Area. You kind of do the cosplay there with the Dapper Dans and that whole whatnot. Yeah. So you're in the perfect wheel. And we both met because we share a mutual fandom of New Japan Pro Wrestling. Bumped into Ruben a couple times. We've been a part of other groups. But I found out you're big sweaty like I am. So why not enjoy... Why not have somebody enjoy with the conversation? Let's do a condensed version, because a lot of these people have very long, drawn out live streams where you're sitting there and you're like, I'm in hour 3. I could have almost watched an installment of Lord of the Rings by the time they get their point across. So we're going to try to bring to you, the viewer, a kind of a Cliff Notes edition of This Week in Geek. And this show will be called West Coast Geeks because obviously we're both on the West Coast. You're up north, I'm down south. Let's get it going. Let's talk about topics. Let's also get people involved. So throw comments at the end of this video once you see it to let us know what you want myself and Ruben to discuss. If something pops up in geek culture this week, you can tag me on Twitter at OCSteveSDS. Ruben has his Instagrams that you can follow. I'll post links later down the line in the description of the video. But let's get into the week. So at the beginning of the week, we kind of had the early part of the bookmark of the week with all things Marvel Comics. And that kind of started literally on Monday with the announcement of the Ant-Man and the Wasp teaser trailer. We got this. Quantumania. I mean, what's your take on it, Ruben?
It's interesting because, they're going deep into the whole CGI world. So I think that's going to be a different take because we never really spent the whole movie in the quantum world. And it seems like majority of it is going to be there. I know that Disney's been teasing this for the past couple of shows, like everything back from Ant-Man 2 and Endgame. So it's going to be interesting to see how it goes. And we all got to look at Kang the Conqueror in Loki. So it's going to be interesting. I think that the CGI looks great so far. I'm excited for the actor that plays Kang because he looks very menacing in this one, opposed to how he was in Loki.
Yeah, he definitely got into shape because he's doing the next Rocky installment there of Creed, and he looks like he's in the best shape of his life. He looks like literally like Mike Tyson. I rather have seen him do the version of Tyson that they had on Hulu. Like, no short the actor who portrayed Tyson, but the prosthetics looked a little bit weird on him. I think he would have been a natural, easy transition into playing Mike Tyson with that. Just my fear with Marvel Comics trailers, and they show way too much. I would have had a little bit of just a teaser, just a taste. Like, they get sucked into the quantum realm. Obviously, you see a glimpse of Bill Murray, but I think story-wise, they revealed a little bit too much with that trailer. Like, just seeing Kang, like a really quick 30-second trailer that's just like boom, 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 boom. And then, like, you kind of got the idea that they're going to go to the quantum realm. They can't get out, and they're going to have to befriend Kang to get out. And what is going to be the consequences of those actions when they help him get out of the quantum realm? Because he is a Kang. In Loki, they mentioned that now because you've killed that version that was kind of like holding back the variants and the time-diluted versions of himself, now it's a can of worms, and this is one of the first ones that we're going to see. That's why I think the Kang dynasty is just going to kind of be like Age of Ultron. We're going to get a bunch of different random Kangs that they're going to have to face, and they're going to be different variants of those. So I don't know. I just thought it was weird, too, that Cassie, Scott's daughter, that they didn't really explain that she had a scientific knowledge or background and able to understand this crazy level of quantum physics to create this beacon device that sucks them all in, which is kind of the MacGuffin of the movie.
Right.
So, I mean, I'll see it. It just, set-wise, it looked a little funky, too. It looked like they just took a bunch of, like, background art from Guardians and went, this is the quantum realm.
Yeah, here's some paint.
Yeah, here's
just
some
make
paint.
it bright.
Let's use the Mandalorian background, and you get that. So that was one that was a little weird, at least in my mind. Not too necessarily crazy. But then a couple days later, just like maybe I think a day or two later, we got the Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special trailer. So I thought that was another cool one that we could discuss because that was the best version of a trailer. Like,
oh yeah, no, for sure.
Quantumania showed us too much, and I think all the trailers for Wakanda Forever are showing us way too much.
Right.
So I just thought, like, with this, it's like, okay, you get enough of an idea of what they're doing.
Yes, absolutely.
Star-Lord's bummed out. He's trying to find Gamora, so they notice he's down in the dumps. So they're going to take him to Earth, and they're going to have a Christmas extravaganza for Star-Lord.
And they're going to kidnap Kevin Bacon.
Yeah, so, hey, they're following an old Marvel Comics trope in the earlier days of Marvel where you had actors playing two parts. This time, Kevin Bacon is only just playing himself. Like, we had Chris Evans originally as the Human Torch become Captain America, so we've had duplicates of other characters as well in the earlier days of the MCU. So this is a little tip of the hat there. But I just enjoyed seeing this trailer because it was just a lot of fun. You got some goofiness. You got Mantis and Drax trying to go to Kevin Bacon's house. You can see like they're getting drunk and maybe doing a Santa pub crawl. So, you got that experience. You got Groot kind of transitioning. Like, he looks a little awkward. So I like that they were playing with it a little bit.
Almost an adult again.
Almost an adult, like, not necessarily. He's kind of in this awkward growing pain phase. And I mean, it'll be great to see what jokes they're going to do. And the other thing I heard about this too, which was in the trailer, but they announced that Michael Rooker's coming back as like maybe an old like flashback of Yondu, or he's going to show up as like probably a holographic image of Yondu.
See, I would have announced that. I would have kept that a secret.
Yeah, that was one. Yeah, again, MCU can't keep. It's just they got to like. I would have been pleasantly surprised with that.
Right?
Pick.
Can you imagine just kicking back Christmas Day, watching that, and then, oh shoot, there he is, Yondu.
And it's dropping actually Thanksgiving weekend. So that's a perfect like. Hey, it's just kind of weird that they let James Gunn be the guy that's opening the gates for all things Disney holiday season when everybody's chilling at home, recouping from their turkey kind of comas, and they're watching James Gunn and his merry band of galactic misfits hang around and run amok in the middle of the greater Hollywood area.
Oh, yeah. No, that's going to be good. I mean, Guardians, the one surprisingly thing that's always been awesome with Guardians is Dave Bautista's Drax. The way he's played him, the whole dry bar humor, it fits so well.
Yeah, and that was just like that was one of his bigger, larger roles, and I think he just swam with it, man. Like,
oh yeah, for sure.
It was not, it wasn't difficult for him for one bit. I think him being the straight man in a cast of people that can improv really well, with obviously alumni that are from Parks and Rec and other things, or they're just James Gunn's friends. So you have to kind of keep pace with that comedic timing. I think that just having him be the straight man was the right way to go about it. Which leads, speaking of James Gunn, to our main topic of the week, like a bombshell announcement, if you will. After Guardians 3, obviously that is going to end the tenure of James Gunn, which has kind of been a little awkward for James Gunn with his relationship with the MCU. Obviously, a couple years back, Disney just literally kicked him to the curb over some tweets that were over 10 years old that he had openly came out to and apologized for. He didn't remove them. He didn't try to like scrub his Twitter like some people tend to do. He was honest about it. He was in a different mindset. It was also in a different time when Twitter existed. That was more shock Twitter, where you would say something to get attention, no matter how crazy or heinous it may be. Also, that was very early part in James Gunn's career, too, when he was really working for kind of like fringe shock things, like working for Troma Films, guys that made The Toxic Avenger and Captain Kabuki and Nuke 'Em High and Tromeo and Juliet. He was a part of that writing pool. So, you're kind of living kind of on that fringe and you're trying to get attention to something. So you're going to say some dumb stuff and it comes back to haunt you, but he owned up to it like a man, which I can respect. Sure. And the cast backed him, you know, and I think Disney kind of really did him dirty because he was going to put out the first movie he was going to personally produce, which was Brightburn for Sony Pictures at San Diego Comic-Con. It was kind of his take on a dark Superman and what would happen, like, if the kid was just innately evil. There was no hope. There was no big old S on his chest. He was just a messed up kid because he felt different. He was alienated. He was ostracized. And then his powers came. It wasn't like he was a baby lifting a truck over his head.
Right.
So I'm glad that the cast backed him. I'm glad that kind of Kevin Feige realized that the cosmic universe wasn't going the direction the way that they wanted it to. And bringing him back to put the bookend on that. But the announcement that was made this week was that we don't have DC films anymore. That David Zaslav, the guy who owns Discovery, that bought Warner Brothers, has decided to get rid of that. Everything entertainment-wise under DC will follow under the umbrella of DC Films. And it's two major heads that will report directly to David Zaslav are James Gunn and Peter Safran. And I think this is best for business. Yeah, obviously, you know, let's what's your take on it?
I think it's great just because, like, at the end of the day, like, as far as did the DC movies make money? Yes, they did. But were they entertaining? It depends, right? They were profitable, but they weren't as profitable as it can be. But I think you bring in someone like James Gunn, who's going to retool everything and represent everything. On top of that, he's going to move those soundtracks for each of those movies. You know, 100% one of the best things about these movies that are going to be coming out is their soundtracks are going to be awesome. And so he's going to be all over the place with that. Yeah,
I've never heard of Wigwam before, but now that's an earworm in everybody's head because of Peacemaker. He really helped define John Cena for that role. And what I loved is that James Gunn has a fun set with everybody. Everybody enjoys really being there. You don't hear really nightmares. I mean, despite what Disney did with the Guardians of the Galaxy instance, everybody that worked on those two movies came to his defense and said that's not the guy who I worked with. That's not the guy who he is now. And I think what's good with having James Gunn in kind of this creative chief officer role is now that he's going to oversee film, TV, and animated. So tonally, they kind of all have the same tone. Maybe there'll be footnotes within it, not necessarily going crazy Marvel shared universe level kind of stuff, but just they all kind of have the same feel, the same vibe, if you will. And I think with Gunn, he's going to be able to have fun with some more of the obscure stuff and add that to the background of the DC universe. And I think that's one thing that DC can really draw from is that they have brands that they can go deeper with their history with, and it will help bring that humor, which was lacking in the Snyder universe for all those years, where it was just weird to have a movie like Shazam in a world with the Justice League. And he'll try to interject that humor just to lighten it up a little bit. I'm not going to say some of these things are going to go full blown PG-13. I would never imagine a PG-13 Peacemaker, but I think that's going to be his role.
Yeah. And here's the other thing that people need to realize too. A lot of these movies are meant for families to enjoy and not just adults. And so like they can't be as dark as people want it to be. You know what I mean? So like,
nobody wants to see a psychologically traumatic Aquaman.
No, how are you going to explain that to your kid when you're watching it? Why is he acting that way? You know what I mean? And I think with James Gunn, he's going to be able to bring all that together, and he's going to bring a better audience. And on top of that, how many actors from the MCU do you think are going to jump ship to DC now because James Gunn's there?
Yeah, who knows? Dave Bautista has mentioned that he would not mind playing Bane.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Obviously he used Michael Rooker in the Suicide Squad. Chris Pratt. You never know. This might be Star-Lord's last dance.
You never know.
With the headphones.
See what
I did there. And Zoe Saldana, she would be great in any role in the DC universe as a female lead. So I think that's what's best for business, because if DC starts really hitting home fun, energetic, high impact, high comedy, upbeat movies where it's an experience that you want to go see it, it's only going to make Marvel better for it, because then they finally have what we used to call in the comic book world the distinguished competition that you're going to get. So that'll make Marvel have to look at themselves and audit things and go, okay, we don't need to make this. We don't need to make that. We need to make what dollars, you vote with your dollars in that regard. Right. So I think that James Gunn moving over there is great. I think Kevin Feige giving his vote of confidence this week, saying he'd be the one first in line to see a James Gunn property produced by the DCU. I think we're in a different state where we could just we have all this stuff where we were kids and we would, we'd geek out and we'd see a character like on X-Men or Spider-Man, or they would reference a character on Batman, the animated series. And it might be in the current congruence of what you're reading as a monthly floppy. And you'd be like, oh shit, I get to watch that. Yeah, that's rad.
We would pop so hard when we get those little obscure references. And I think that by them acknowledging each other, it's going to only create better movies and better competition, right? Competition makes things better. And
how crazy would that be? Just hypothetically putting it out there into the universe that we get JSA or, and Avengers. We get, the JLA Avengers. That would be awesome. Like that finally we get to that world where, hey, you're doing your thing, we're doing our thing. Maybe we can do something together down the line for the fans. And I think that that's what's really hitting home is James Gunn cares about the community. He cares about being a steward of DC. Peter Safran is a very smart businessman with high business acumen. He already has started to look at products that were in pre-production or maybe that are way longer in production that they should have been, like the Green Lantern show on HBO Max, where it's like, hey, you've been in pre-production for 3 years and you only wrote 8 episodes. It's time to go. No, we're not doing this. No. This is not the old, no, we're going to actually monitor stuff a little bit more closely and make sure that these productions are moving forward and not having a stagnation or just sitting in kind of this proverbial kind of limbo state. We're getting stuff done. We're moving forward. We're going to try to also put out quality products too. We're going to monitor what's coming forward. There's only a couple productions that are currently in existence right now that regime doesn't get to touch. One of them is Joker 2. The other one is Matt Reeves' sequel to the Batman. That's kind of out of their scope of kind of control because those things were already set in motion. So they got grandfathered in, which is understandable with that. So, and they're not too big of a liability.
Right.
And what I like about, oh no, go ahead.
Here's my whole thing. I hope that they don't do with these. If they ever do a Batman or Superman, we don't need origin stories no more. Just go straight into it.
And that's what's great about Henry Cavill coming back and announcing his commitment to being Superman again, is that we did that. We have the Man of Steel. Now we can have the Man of Tomorrow, which would be a great storyline. Just give us Brainiac. I know that Tim Burton back in the day was trying to figure it out with Nick Cage. Obviously, that didn't come into existence, and maybe we're better for it. But I think in this day and age, we could have a fun Brainiac. It's a villain from Krypton, aside from Zod and doing Doomsday. Don't do Bizarro with the Man of Tomorrow, please. Like, that's the only thing I ask. Let's do Brainiac, or let's get a new rebooted Luthor. And that regard, Bryan Cranston's looking for a job. It'd be great to have him as Lex Luthor in that power suit.
Look, Marvel, MCU had 10, 15 years to build the Thanos. Look, baby steps, let's build.
Yeah. And you can build other things too. Black Adam was great, and it introduced the JSA. Those are the kind of movies that you need to speed up your process with, where you can shoehorn other characters in, get them going. I think the other bigger announcement today, I don't know if it's totally confirmed or not, but Henry Cavill is going to stop The Witcher after season 3. It has been renewed for season 4. Chris Hemsworth's brother Liam will be taking over the reins of Geralt of Rivia. Season 4, I guess I'm going to have to see him in the costume. Seeing is believing in that regard. They're two different body specimens. You got Liam, who's tall and lean, and obviously Henry Cavill's built like a tank. So I'm going to have to. Superman. Yeah, he's literally the embodiment of Superman next to Christopher Reeve. So I'm going to have to wait and see on that. But that's all the news, man. That's the most poignant geek news for this week leading into spooky season. I think that we covered that. So I will post links below for Cosmic Book News. That's where I go for all my geek news and nonsense. Any closing remarks on this pilot episode, DJ Ruben?
Yes. Let us know, what you guys want us to cover. Between me and Steve, we're an eclectic resource of different geek knowledge. So,
And each show is not going to be the same, kids. It's just not going to be the headlines. Sometimes we might have a topic. Sometimes Ruben might bring something to the table where it's going to be like, hey, dude, this is what's going on in the world of Disney. Let's chew the fat. Here's something that's going on in wrestling. We're going to try to keep a variety of topics and fandoms interlaced into this show. But if you want to see things, you got to respond. You got to hit us up. You got to put comments below, like, share, and subscribe. So we know what we're doing right and we know what we're doing wrong, so we can make sure that we have a fun product for you. Ruben, I appreciate you stepping up to the plate as my co-host.
Absolutely, Steve.
And as always, guys, I wish you whatever fandom you like, just be happy that you have it. Don't be that guy in the corner that it doesn't look accurate. Just buy the ticket and enjoy the ride, and we'll catch you on the next video. And thanks for watching, guys. Have a good weekend. Have a good spooky season. Mahalo.
Bye.